All right, so let's look at knowledge check 4.2.2. So step one, it says use the concatenate function, the C function, to create a vector called weight containing the weight in pounds of 10 children. And these weights basically are ranging from, looks like 75 to about 100 pounds. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to save this as a vector of weight. I'm going to use the C function, and then I'm going to just go ahead. I'm going to copy all these values supplied and put it directly into my C function. Run that. Now let's go ahead and see what weight is. And we see that for weight, we can now have our vector where it's got 75, 95, so on all the way up to 99. All right, step two, use the seek or sequence function to create a sequence of numbers ranging from 0 to 1 in steps of 0.1. So if we were to go ahead and take a look at the help file of sequence, we'll see that sequence can take several arguments, basically from some value to another value. So we want to basically create a sequence that goes from basically x to y, and then in increments of by. So if you don't supply by, it's going to default to basically this calculation right here. But for our cases, we are going to actually supply by. So let's go ahead. We're going to do sequence, and we want to go from, it said 0, to 1, and we want to go by increments or steps of 0.1. And when we run that, we see now we have a vector as an output that goes from 0 to 0.1, 0.2, all the way up to 1.0. All right, so this last step actually has us doing several different things with this rep or repetition function. Whoops. So let's go ahead and pull up the help file for this. We see that replicate elements of vectors and lists. Now here's the thing. Rep actually allows a lot of different ways that we can kind of replicate values within a vector. And so to illustrate, let's go through these different exercises. All right, first one is we want to replicate values 1, 2, 3. And it looks like we do that, 3 times? So I would do rep, I'm going to feed it a vector of the values 1, 2, 3, and then I want to repeat that vector basically 3 times. And you can see my output is 1, 2, 3, and then I repeat it again 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that matches what we're looking for here. All right, the next one wants us to repeat. It looks like we have character values A, C, E, and G, and we're repeating each of these 3 times. So how we can do that is we can take a vector of A and C, E, and G. All right, we want to replicate the elements in here, but we want actually to replicate A 3 times, and then the second element C 3 times, and then the third element E 3 times, and so on. So to do that, I can use a different, so instead of using this times argument, I can use each, and I want to repeat each of the elements in this vector 3 times. So when I run that, it does it in order. Repeats the first element 3 times, repeats the second element 3 times, and so on. All right, the next one is basically taking that same element or same vector ACEG, but now it looks like it's repeating the entire vector over 3 times. So this was kind of like the first example where instead of repeating each element sequentially, we repeat the entire vector 3 times. And we see we get output ACEG, 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 and that matches what we were looking for here. All right, the next one we have vector of numbers, looks like it ranges from 1, 2, and 3. And we repeat each of these, we repeat the elements 3 times, and then we repeat that 3 times, right? So this is kind of confusing, but basically what we are doing is we are combining 1, 2, 3, right? We want to repeat each element 3 times. So I'm going to do each 3, but then I want to do that, it looks like 2 times, right? So we repeat the first element 3 times, the second element 3 times, and third element 3 times, and then we do that over again. So we actually want to do this twice. And when I run that, I see I have 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, and then we do that again, and that matches what we're looking for here. All right, this last one that we're going to do is a little bit trickier. Basically, we have values 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they're repeated. The elements are, but they're repeated in decreasing number of times, right? So 1 is repeated 5 times, 2 is repeated 4, 3 is repeated 3 times, 4 is repeated twice, and 5 is repeated just once. All right, so how we would do this is we would take a vector that contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And another way, if you recall, is we could actually just do 1 through 5. When we do this colon in between 2 values, it's going to take the discrete values in between there, right? So I could just say I want to repeat the vector 1 through 5, but what I want to do is actually do this where I'm going to repeat 1 5 times, and I'm going to repeat the second one is 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, and 1. Now, another way we could call this last part is we could actually do 5 colon 1, and that counts backwards. So now it counts from 5 down to 1 in the discrete values. So I could actually replace this vector here with 5 to 1. And now when I run this, I get 1 repeated 5 times, 2 repeated 4, 3 repeated 3, and so on, which matches this pattern I have